Howdy! So you've ripped all your DVDs and you're ready now to add those files to Plex. Here was a problem though. When you open up the folder from where you ripped those DVDs, all you see is a file that says title underscore .00.mkv or something like that. And sometimes they're named better, but usually it's something like that. Plex doesn't know what to do with those. Plex needs a properly named file, and then what it will do is it will use a database and pull in all the metadata. It's really cool, actually, and it's really good at it. You have a properly named title. So for instance, if you had Batman.1989.mkv, it knows it's the first Batman with Michael Keaton, and it will get all the metadata, all the extras, and all the trailers, and it pulls it right in. Posters and everything. It's amazing. But that's not what you have. You have a folder. You have folders and folders full of these files that don't say that. So, now that you've done all the ripping in the first video, this is part 2 now. It's now time to organize those and rename them correctly so that Plex can get the correct metadata. So you ready? Let's go. This is Excelsior Tech. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's get going. I tried a number of programs to correctly name your files so that Plex will pick them up and grab the metadata for it correctly. Now, there's a number of them out there. And if you know of one better than FileBot, let me know. But FileBot is the one that I chose. And for a few reasons. One reason why I liked it is the interface is not too hard to use. It's pretty easy. Another reason why I liked it is that they offer a year-long version of it, so you only get a year subscription to it for $6. That's not bad. Most other programs I was looking at were like the kind of $30 shareware software kind of pricing, and I just didn't like that. I just didn't need it for that long. Most of the time when I'm naming files, after you've made your big push to rename all your files, you won't have to do this again. You'll be doing things one at a time with your movie ripping. So you'll be able to correctly name it one at a time, and it won't be very much hassle. But for this long setup, if you have several hundred movies, having a program like FileBot is worth the $6. So, without further ado, let's get to the tutorial. So, I'm not going to lie to you, this next thing we're going to do with FileBot and renaming these files is probably the most tedious part of this process. MakeMKV doesn't use any kind of database, and so it doesn't name the files anything but what it sees on the disk. So let me show you. All right, so I'm going to open up FileBot, but we're not going to really use that at the moment. Let's first open up where we have all of our movies. So I've put them all over here. This isn't all the ones that I ripped, but this is a good huge sampling of them, probably about I think about 100 movies. But here's what MakeMKV spits out. Okay, so some of these folders seem pretty descriptive, right? And some of them not so much, like this. So you see up over here, I've got a bunch of folders that just say DVD_video. That's just what Plex saw as the disk name. So it just outputted that as the disk name folder. So there, inside there though, the file name was actually pretty descriptive. I can probably work with that. But if you go to something like this over here, the folder name was pretty descriptive, but the file name is just title_T00. That's not helpful at all. And this isn't really Plex's fault. The manufacturer decides on how this is going to be named. And normally they don't, because it's always labeled on the disk, it's not a big deal, so they don't really pay much attention to what the actual file name is on the disk itself. Very rarely is it named correctly. So anyways, we gotta fix this. So let's get ourselves set up. And let's start with getting our windows put together. So what we're doing here is I'm going to get FileBot open here. This is our main utility we're going to use, but then there's a lot of little like separate file windows and stuff I'm going to open up around it. So first thing I'm going to do is put the place where all my rips are. I'm just going to place it right underneath here. You can organize this any way you want, but this is the way I'm going to do it. So within this folder of all the rips, I'm going to actually do several folders that I'm going to organize all of the files into. So first I'm going to do a ToRename folder. You'll see why I'm going to do this in a second, but first I'm going to move all my files into there. Then I'm going to make a second one called Done. And the last folder we're going to make is called ToMove. Both the Done and ToMove folders will remain empty right now, and you will see their purposes very soon. Right now, just all the stuff is going to be in the ToRename because these are the folders and files to rename. So this is kind of like our overall organization folder. And so next we kind of want to break it down. And so we're going to open just the ToRename folder. And to do that, we're just going to hold down the Control button and then double click on this folder name, and it will open up a new window, Finder window, with just the ToRename folder, which is what we want. And then we're just going to shape it up over here. And now we got the working directory over here, FileBot over here, and then our overarching one down here. A couple more things we're going to open up now. We're going to open up Chrome. We're going to go to IMDb. I'm using this because FileBot is actually really good. One thing I like about FileBot is it's able to try to guess even by the folder name of the file inside. That's why it's really helpful in this situation, because a lot of our generic file names actually have less generic folder names, and so that's helpful. But still, we kind of need to know the exact same one that it is, because sometimes, for instance, if it's like Little Women, there's like, there's a new version of Little Women every 15 or so years, and so it could be several different ones, and the files or the folder is only going to be called Little Women. So IMDb here will be able to give us the correct year, and then we'll be able to get the exact and correct movie that it actually is. So now I'm going to open up the Done folder just the way I did the ToRenames. I'm going to hold Control, double click on Done, and then I'm going to make it a small version underneath IMDb over here. And again, a lot of this will become clear why I'm organizing it this way in just a minute. All right, and lastly, we're going to open up either WordPad or Notepad, and this is going to be a file I'm going to call, let's call it Investigate. And this file is important because as things were ripping, there were problems, probably. Disks had scratches on them, so the ripping process had trouble. You can see right here I have 3 Spirit folders with the underscore in front of them up top there. 2 New in Town folders with the underscore in front. Something probably happened there. Especially the Spirit, I know something happened with. So I'm going to use this file right here to kind of earmark these as ones that I need to investigate and make sure that the file is complete, it's got the full credits, and that everything came through correctly. So it will surprise you that normally within one of those 3 folders, I'll probably get a complete rip somewhere in there. But anyways, yeah. So write down the name of the movie. Go ahead and just annotate this as fix, just so I know what I'm doing with it. And so as we're organizing, there will be other movies that kind of have like a little question mark on it that might need some help. All right, and make sure you save. And then we're just going to move this window over here, and it's just going to kind of be in the background. We're not going to use this tons, but we will want it available. But make sure you save it. All right, so I've got my ToRename folder here, and I want to start redoing some renaming. But some of these files in here are actually kind of useful, and so I don't want to have to go through those one by one. I want to be able to do those kind of in a batch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the search window here in Finder, and I'm just going to put in .mkv. MakeMKV only makes MKVs, so that makes it easy. It's going to find only the MKVs recursively inside of all the folders inside of this ToRename folder. So as you can see, most of them, the folder might be named a little bit more clearly, but the file inside is only title_00. But a bunch of them are not, right here at the bottom. So I want to grab those. So I'm going to make a temporary folder here. Let's just call it blah. So make a temporary folder, and then I'm going to go back to my ToRename folder, and I'm going to go to the top where I can see the start of the ones that are not called title_00, and then I'm going to go click on that top one, scoot on all the way down to the bottom, and then I'm going to hold down Shift and click on the bottom one, and it's going to select all the ones in between, and I'm going to drag it over into the blah folder. Now, as you can see here, I do have two files named the same. I don't know if this was accidentally ripped twice or this is a separate movie. I'm pretty sure it was ripped twice, but I will check that out. So I'm just only going to carry one over. And so now I've recursively pulled out of all of those possibly generically named folders these less generically named files so that I can use them in batch in FileBot instead of trying to do them one by one. Because all the ones that are just title_00, we're going to have to kind of do those one by one. Okay, and let's cancel this search at the top here, and I just clicked the little X next to the .mkv search, and so now we're back to our folder view. So a lot of these folders actually don't have files in them anymore. Not a lot of them, but the ones that we pulled over into our blah folder, pulled out of those recursively. So you can see right there, it's empty. And so now we're going to, in a batch, pull these into FileBot, and these should be able to be renamed pretty quickly. And so this is a nice way of just being able to quickly rename a bunch of them instead of having to do these one by one, which unfortunately a lot of these we will have to do. All right, so now I'm just going to click inside this window of my blah folder and do a Control A, then drag them all up into FileBot. Now inside where all these are named, we're just going to right click, and we're going to go to movie mode. These are all movies. And I'm going to pick the movie DB. I find when we're doing lots of movies in mass, the movie DB seems to be better. When we're doing single ones, sometimes OMDB is better. You may have very varying results, so you're going to have to play around a little bit. But these are the two I'm going to choose from, and I'm going to choose the movie DB. So FileBot's going to crunch away on this for a little bit. But already kind of looking at one of the names there, I see that MM_T00. FileBot's not going to know what to do with that, but let's see what happens. Here come the results. Okay, so the movie database named it after the folder that these were all in, which was blah, so that's not going to work. So let's switch over to the other database, OMDB. This is what I want. This is going to give us some capability to look at the file name and also narrow it down with what it suggests. And so I'm going to do this with the few right here. But eventually I know we're going to get to that MM folder. Sure enough. Here we are. Yep, MM. Okay, we don't know what this is. So I've got VLC installed. You're going to want something like this installed so you can quickly preview this movie. Now I'm going to use my arrow keys with VLC to just quickly scrub through this movie and be able to just find out what it is. So I'm just going to arrow through this a little bit. I just want to see something that can help me identify what this movie is. Okay, who was that? And now I'm getting to a title. Yep, Mirror Mirror. Okay, so this is Mirror Mirror. And that was Julia Roberts. So this is the Julia Roberts Mirror Mirror. So I'm going to go over here to IMDb and put in Mirror Mirror. And let's see what we get. Interesting. Not Black Mirror. Mirror Mirror, that's what I want. 2012. Mirror Mirror 2012. So now I know what the movie is, but I'm going to skip this for now, which leaves the file alone when I'm doing all these renamings. And I'm just going to continue with the rest of these because I can kind of go off of the file name and I can usually pick out the correct movie. It's very important. You'll notice that I'm moving these. They're organized these by name and year. You really need to know the correct year for these, or at least kind of in your head kind of know. Yeah, it's going to be this movie around this year, because sometimes there could be something that's similarly named that's within like a 10-year span, and you need to pick the right one. So it's very important because that's how Plex is going to be able to correctly get the metadata, is the correct name and year. And that's actually how they're going to be renamed too. Okay, so I'm going to kind of skip through some of these, but there's going to be an interesting one here right here. This is the movie Persuasion. So I want to find out which one this is. So because I see a couple different versions here, 1995 and 2007. So which one is this? So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to start arrow throwing this. This doesn't look 2007 to me. This looks a little older, probably the 1995 version. But I want to be sure. I want to make sure. So I'm going to scrub through the movie a bunch here. I was having a little bit of difficult time as I was doing this. It's a Jane Austen movie. I can see that who the producers are, but it's easier to find like a director or especially find actors in there. So if I can identify somebody either visually or, so I don't really know who these people are visually yet. I'm going to find an actor here somewhere. So I'm just arrowing through here. I'm going back and forth because I want to see the main people. Okay. Siri and Hines. I think that's how you say it. Not positive. But that's somebody I can find if I do a search for it in IMDb. So here I am. I'm going to search for it in IMDb. And so I'm going to find the actor. I recognize that guy. Did a lot of things. Okay, so now he's got a lot of credits. So I could search one by one, or I can just search the page and find Persuasion. Oops, I didn't spell that right. Okay, it's there. Now this is kind of interesting, isn't it? It's not a movie. It looks like it's part of a miniseries. But the DVD put it together like a movie. And IMDb does still classify it where it was, which is in 1995. All right, so I'm going to edit through the rest of these really quickly so you don't have to watch me classify the rest. And I'll just skip through this to the end. And this is where I'm doing the last one here, but there is something interesting. So now you can see over here all of my files are ready to be renamed that I have correctly identified. You can see a few here that are not going to be renamed because I need to do those probably by hand. But when I click rename here, you'll see something interesting. A few of these found in the database are not going to play well once they're made into files renamed. So there's, I believe those are colons, and so it won't like those colons. So you just click validate and it'll automatically take the colons out, which is fine. Plex will be fine not using those colons. So we click continue here, and check it out. Down below, you'll see all those files change, and look at that. They are correctly named with their movie and date. But then you see a few here that are little troublemakers. You might want to go one by one with those and see if that'll work. No, it's still trying to name it by the folder instead. And so what we're going to do here is just put down these file names, and so I know to fix these. Okay, FileBot's not going to be able to correctly get these from the batch, so I'm just going to do these one at a time. So I'm going to go down to the file here. I already know that's mirror mirror. I don't have to open that up again. And so I'm going to put in mirror mirror. I could rename this all the way, but I just want to show you how to do this. So mirror mirror. I'm doing something a little more descriptive that I know it can pick up. I'm dragging it into here. You'll see the newer renamed version up there. I'm picking IMDb. Boom, picked it up. Mirror mirror 2012. Go ahead and select it, hit rename, done. Take it off my list, go to the next one. So I'm going to skip through doing most of the others except this last one because I want to show you a different example of how you can make a good selection for your name. So we're going to do run silent, run deep. That is the name of the file below there. And there's only one movie that has that title. So if you find it in IMDb, perfect. You just copy the whole title from IMDb. And then I will do a rename on the file down here. Highlight and kind of move your mouse a little bit and it'll do a rename. Then I'll right click and do paste, or you can just do Control V if you want. And then boom, it's renamed correctly. And frankly, this is a tad faster than trying to do FileBot. If you know the name exactly, you can just copy it straight from IMDb if you're doing this one at a time, and you have a clear knowledge of what this file is. Okay, these are all correctly named. I'm going to Control A to select them all, and then I'm going to do a Control X to cut them, and then I'm going to click up here to go back one folder, go to Done, and then Control V them into Done. These are done. And now we can get rid of that temporary folder we made. We're going to go click again on the vids folder right here, go back to blah, and delete it. We're done with that folder. So down here in our overarching organizational folder, we're going to go to the to move folder. And we're going to leave this open from kind of here on out. So I'm going to go back to this to rename section over here. And in the to rename section, though, I now have a bunch of folders that I've already renamed correctly and put into the done section. I don't want to keep running into these empty folders. So I've actually created a script that you'll see in the description below that will help you remove all of those empty folders. It's pretty cool. And here I'll show you right now. So I'm going to hit my start menu and open up PowerShell. And I'm going to run this as a PowerShell script. And it's just a little robocopy script. Really cool, magical. Took me a while to find the exact right one. For some reason, this one is the magical, simple one that works. You're going to want to save it somewhere. I've actually got it named incorrectly, so I'm going to change it. It should be the ToRename folder, not the ToMove folder. But it's going to just magically get rid of all of the empty folders in this ToRename section. So as I said before, I actually had this incorrect. So I'm going to change the names here because this is not a ToMove folder I want to do this in. I want to do this into the ToRename folder. And so I'm going to change this on both sides here. You'll see me do that. And then also I noticed that the disk is wrong too. I need to change that to G, not D. This is from a previous time that I used that and I just hadn't corrected it before. So here we go. For real now, I'm going to go ahead and run it in the correct folder, then run this robocopy script, and you'll see something really cool happen over in the ToRename section. Check that out. Isn't that cool? Now, all of the folders that were empty are now gone. So now we're just going to be working out of this ToRename folder. And so here we have all the folders now are the more descriptively named folders, but inside you'll see the files themselves. MakeMKV just made it into title_T00. This isn't very helpful, but FileBot is smart enough that we can now bring in just the whole folder, and it will then rename the file based on the folder that it's in. This is why we can't bring all these in at once, because it won't know. For some reason it gets confused, and it'll just bring it in and it will try to name everything the same folder. It's a weird issue. Trust me, just do this one at a time. So I'm going to pick one of these databases here. I'm going to use OMDB. So sometimes it still doesn't understand, and so it's going to have to need the title put in there. I'm just going to put in the spirit. This is going to help it search. And then it asks you, then it guessed this time, but it might not guess if it's not sure. So, but yeah, I know that's what it is, and then I just name it. Now I'm going to go to the next one. And I'm just going to keep doing these folder by folder. And these next folders are interesting. They are actually double features, and so you are going to want to do these by hand. If you try to pull those into FileBot, it'll just try to name them both the same movie. So I'm just going to do them real quickly right now, then I'll skip ahead and show you something else a little more normal. But if you see something like that and you have a double feature, you need to do them by hand, doing it through the IMDb renaming way. So verify which movie it is, and then name it by hand. So I'm going to start skipping through these now. I'm just doing them one at a time. And now I'm going to stop at one that's kind of just really very, very, very normal. So this Bend It Like Beckham here, this folder is descriptive. I should be able to name the file for this. But I'm going to separate the words here just to make sure that FileBot doesn't get confused. And then I'll just drag it into here. Sure enough, it's a title_00. I'll use OMDB. You can use either one, but OMDB for some reason I find more success with. I know that's 2002 one. Done. Named it. That's where we're just going to keep going through here. This is one that has a series of movies. I doubt it's going to get named correctly, so I'll try up the batch and see if it gets named correctly. No. This one you have to name by hand. But I'm just going to keep skipping through here, and I'm just going to stop and show you when I see something that's a little more unique. But so those Despicable Me mini movies I'm going to have to do by hand. So I'm going to put them in my investigate and then work on them. So I'm just skipping through here with the editing, but just so you know, I am doing these from the top down, folder by folder, one at a time, naming them, making sure I'm getting it right, and then going to the next one. I want to be able to stop later, so that's why I'm doing it that way. So I want to show you something real quick right here. This is the movie Miracle. When I have it pulled into the folder with the title _00, I can actually just double click on it in the window in FileBot, and instead of me needing to navigate in the ToRename folder to get inside there to look at the file, it'll just pop up a window all by itself with the file. This is really handy. So now I'm looking it up in IMDb. I know this is a 2004 version with Kurt Russell. So when I click the movie database right now, I know it's going to look at the folder and it's going to give me an option. I'm going to pick 2004 version, click rename, move on. That's just a little tip there. And that way I haven't had to dig into the folder on the ToRename side, and that makes it easier. So you're just a little bit easier navigationally. And again, I'm just speeding through these now. I know it's been tough to stick through this long of a tutorial, but it's really cool to get a nice Plex library going, and it's worth it, trust me. So as you can see, I'm just doing these one folder at a time, just keeping going on down. And I'm doing it in a row like this for a certain reason, and I'm going to show you right now why. Because at a certain point, if you have hundreds of movies, you're going to probably want to take a break, or you're going to want to take a rest, or you're just going to want to organize the ones you've already done in a row. So as you can see right here, I'm going to slow down, and then I'm going to show you what I do. Once I get to a certain movie, I'm going to take the ones that I've already done and organize them. Okay, so I'm going to now just finish with Other Side of Heaven, renaming it. That's what I'm going to do here is in the ToRename side. I know right here, I've highlighted Other Side of Heaven. I know this last one I'm done. I'm going to go hold down Shift once I've selected Other Side of Heaven, and I'm going to select all of these, and I'm going to move them into the To Move folder. That's why I had that folder. So now I know, even though they're still in folders, and I eventually want to extract all the files out of those, I do want to just go ahead and move the ones I finished, because I might want to go use the restroom. I might want to go to bed. You know, if I've already been doing this for a while, I just want to finish, maybe finish up later. So that's why I do this, and so that's why I do it in line like this, and that's why I have this to move folder. So now I do plan on just keep going here, so I'm going to keep going. And as far as things go, that's most of the special situations that you'll find, and now the rest of it should be pretty routine. So I'm just going to skip on to the end and show you what it's like once you get everything into the To Move folder. Okay, so now I'm down to my last movie in this batch. I'm going to finish it up, identifying it, refining what it should be, making sure that it's the correct movie, renaming it. Now I'm done. So I've got everything done in here, and I got everything done over here. Now I could move everything in the ToRename to move, but I know those are done now. I'm not stopping right now, so I don't need to really do that. So what I'm going to do in the To Move folder is I'm just going to go ahead and put .mkv. And what that does is it searches recursively into all of the folders that are in the To Move folder and shows me all of my video files, because they're all .mkvs. So I'm just going to do a Control-A, highlight them all, and drag them into Done. And now when you close the search, you'll see there's just a bunch of empty folders. And you can delete them now if you want to. You can delete the To Move folder if you want to now, if you're completely done with it. But if you still have more to do, then don't delete that folder yet. And that's basically it. I'm now going to do this to the rest of the folders that are in the ToRename side, and then we're done. Now you can take your Done folder and drag those files into wherever your Plex library is going to be, and Plex should pick them up just fine. I know this was a little bit of a long tutorial. Thanks for hanging in there, and see you later. You're still here. The video's over. Watch another one of my videos. Subscribe. Ring the bell. Enjoy Plex. Go.